Beautician, chirp, cherry picker, and so much more. It's Hockey Wednesday.
Well, it is 10:11 on a Wednesday morning. It is the 3rd of April 2019. Can you imagine? We certainly are getting ahead, the 4th month of the year. And just to remind you, a few weeks ago we spoke about transformation in hockey specifically, and how there's still so much that needs to be done. And Liam, if we remember, it was after the retirement of
I think it was Sulet Damon.
Sulet.
Yeah,
Sula. And there was a tweet that came out regarding transformation, how they'd like to see more people of color being involved in hockey and how it's still a closed world. So today, joining us on the line, just to continue with that conversation, is Sean Burke. Now, Sean is an activist for transformation in South African sport, and he's formed Real Transformation in Sport to fight against the continued marginalization of black athletes in South Africa. And he joins us on the line this morning. Good morning, Sean. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you.
Super.
How are you doing?
We are well, Sean. We are well. Now, Sean, when it comes to RTIS, exactly what is that? If you could elaborate that to us, please.
Okay. Real Transformation in Sport is an organization that is tasked with trying to push an agenda to change the way the sport system works in South Africa, because the sport system is very narrowly geared towards favoring elitists and favoring the white minority. So the kind of pace of transformation that we have in the country has basically been at a standstill since unification of sport in 1992. So what we have at the moment is that the majority of the country's population, which is the majority is obviously people of African descent, they do not have any opportunity to play sport. And it seems like this government is very happy with the current state of non-participation of the majority of the country's youth in playing sport. If you take a situation like Teresa Temani, who was recently killed,
yes,
I put it to the public that he might not even have been killed if the youth that took part in, or allegedly took part in his murder, were actually in sports programs.
Participating in something, yeah.
Exactly. And so we do not have, our youth are basically being relegated to becoming Yaupe addicts or corner boys, because they don't have any outlet for this natural hormonal change that takes place in adolescent youth. With girls and boys, you see a lot of violence on social media at the moment, with video clips of kids fighting. If these kids were all in sports programs, I don't think we would have the levels of violence that we see prevailing in our society at the moment. So Real Transformation in Sport is trying to address the inadequacies that the current government has created, and that has allowed to be created for the last 25 years under this fake democracy that we have.
And you know, you speak about the fakeness that is going around, and I specifically do remember a point in time where we were marginalized in sport, and you're saying that this mantra that was going on during those times, no normal sport in an abnormal society, but we still find that today, and you were also elaborating how it was then seeing your son go through school and from a young age participating in sport and all sporting codes, being able to get a bursary, that actually made you realize that there is no normal sport in this abnormal society.
That's correct. If it wasn't for my personal input into my son's sporting career, I guarantee you that he would have fallen out of the system in primary school already. He would not have had a bursary to go to high school. because of his excellence in sport. He would not have had a bursary to go to the University of Johannesburg because of his sporting prowess that enabled him to get 2 degrees because he was part of the sport system. The kind of discipline that is required to stay in the sport system is huge, and especially if you're still trying to educate yourself at the same time. But you cannot do that without a serious support structure coming from family, from coaches, and people who believe in you. So a black child has a very, very difficult situation trying to stay afloat, even in the sporting system and even in the education system. So it is very important that the system gets changed, and I am all for completely destroying and dismantling the sport system, which is a relic from old apartheid days. We need to destroy the system and come up with a new one that works better for black people in this country. And if I can just use the model of Cuba before the revolution, before Fidel Castro took over, we are in exactly the same position as Cuba was in 1960, because what we have is, same as in Cuba, we have a narrow band of elite schools that are running the sports system in the country, and they get their sponsorships, they get good players of color coming to their schools, they attract money into their schools using the sports system. And in Cuba, if you look at pre-revolution, only the elite Spanish were allowed to access to these country clubs, sports clubs that they had. And only after the revolution, there was a direct intervention by Fidel Castro's government to create sports schools, to get mass participation, because he realized that if he got the population healthy, playing sport, he would actually have a much more productive and a prouder citizenry who would help to fight the cause for the revolution. And right now, what we have in this country, because we are not playing sport, we have obesity that has crept into the system. Our health care part of government is under such severe strain because we are not playing sport, and we are not fostering a culture of being active. There's no it's not a surprise that companies like Discovery are giving points out for being active
and healthy,
because so that is why I am promoting that we completely dismantle the system, which is a relic from apartheid days of playing for the Bulls and the Blue Bulls and being in a provincial setup. We need to dismantle this, and we actually need to create a system that is community club based. Because right now, for example, in hockey, we do not have a single hockey club in Soweto.
No.
Where you have over 2 million people residing in Soweto, yet where I stay in Johannesburg in the suburbs, you have about 20, within a 20-kilometer radius, you have about 20 astroturfs to cater for a predominantly white
community
population. So I don't know where we are going right now, but personally I'm waiting for a new government, whether it's a government of a coalition government or a completely new government that is going to change the lives of a black child in this country.
And now, Sean, when we take a look at hockey specifically, we go back to the Rio Olympics in 2016, where SASCOC refused them entry into the Olympics because of lack of transformation. And then we also do have, of course, the Players for Transformation, who you've been working very closely with. And I think last year was a crux or a point where RTIS and Players for Transformation really made the biggest noise when it came to transformation, for the fact that SAHA actually took time to listen.
Yes, Saha was actually forced to listen
Yeah.
because just before the final weekend of the Premier Hockey League, which is on SuperSport, just before that final weekend, the players had enough. The players of color had enough because for the World Cup for the senior women earlier on in 2018, there was a measly 4 players of color in the squad of 18, and it was allowed to just slip through. And I blame the officials of Saha who signed off on that team
selection.
It's completely below the mark that was set by the eminent persons group in government who's been set up to monitor whether federations are adhering to the Transformation Charter. And that was allowed to happen. Then we started taking a look and we asked questions early. What is going to happen with the men's World Cup squad? So there was a very interesting thing that happened. The convener of selectors refused to sign off, and he's a person of color. He refused to sign off unless the team was 50-50 going to India to the World Cup.
Yeah.
Somebody else signed off on this team within Saha. We are still waiting to find out who that person is. Saha has closed up shop on finding out who that person was that signed off on the team.
Yeah.
That set wheels in motion where the players threatened to not go to not take the field on the final weekend and embarrass Saha, because the Deputy Minister of Sport was there, the DG of Sport was there, so it was going to be very embarrassing. So everybody agreed to have a transformation in Durban. We had the transformation in Durban eventually in January, and we only had it because there were other forces at play behind the scenes that forced Saha to organize the Indaba, because we actually prevented them from having their AGM. So nothing much has changed. Right now, the only change that we have is that we have a new president. But right now, nothing has changed in hockey circles. There's a lot of trying to have participation in legitimate structures, but nothing is happening. And frankly, we are all fed up.
And you know, Sean, sorry to interject there. I think this also puts out the problem that we do have here in South Africa, trying to enforce quota systems. I mean, currently we do have South African school athletics. They're in court trying to mitigate this as well, with trade union solidarity also at the Labour Court. Why is it that we're still finding ourselves in this situation when it comes to South Africa? And unfortunately, like you say, it's not only hockey, but a lot of the sporting codes, it's still only for the privileged, and we can't seem to force these quota systems. Why is it that we're finding it so hard to enforce these? Because surely in 2019, this shouldn't even be an issue anymore.
I can give you a very simple answer. Because our government is weak. We do not have a decisive government who can fix things for the majority, the previously disenfranchised people of this country. Our government is completely weak. They have other priorities. If you look at the only Minister of Sport since this fake democracy was brought in, the only Minister of Sport that ever had an insight into sport was Reverend Stofile. Yes. He was the only one. The rest of them are all cadre deploys, and they don't know anything about sport. They have to come and learn on the job, and they don't understand the subtle nuances. There are subtle, very subtle nuances that change the picture completely. And it's nuances and manipulation that takes place, and that is why we can't get quotas sorted in this country. And you know, the irony of quotas is that it only changes things at the top.
Yes.
We are trying to get mass participation, and then the cream will rise to the top in a very natural way.
Yeah.
And you know, the reason also why quotas are not being implemented is because we have a minority in this country, and they are white, but unfortunately the lines are being blurred, and it's becoming more the elites, because there are a few black elites part of that group as well who are enjoying the benefits of being elitist. So what does a minority do in an African country? It has to create rules and regulations. It has to assert itself to be the dominant power as a minority, to rule over the majority. So all the little bylaws and all the little policies that are created to maintain the status quo of a minority. And this ANC government right now is not creating an environment where we can break down this dominance of a minority and hand over sports as a game of the people. We do not have that right now. You know, Fidel Castro said it very nicely. He said that sport is the right of the people and not the right of the wealthy. And that is why he managed to fix it, that to the point that within 15 years, after building sports schools and getting everybody to participate, even creating programs where babies, after 45 days, mothers were taught how to stimulate their muscles so that they could become more athletic.
Nice.
Even after that, within 15 years, with a population of only the size of New York, at the Olympics, Cuba got almost as many medals as the whole of the United States of America. That little island, just from promoting sporting excellence and creating a system that works. Can you imagine how powerful we would be as a sporting nation if we just allow our people to play sport? And right now, today, we have huge protests in Alexandra, and it's all part of a frustration amongst our people because we are not finding jobs. We are not allowed to give natural expression to our athleticism. All of these frustrations boil over into protests that you find in the streets.
And now, Sean, finally, we've only got a minute left of this interview. With regards to RTIS and Players for Transformation, what are you guys currently working on? If anybody wants to contact you just to hash out the issues that they're currently having with whatever sporting code they're doing, how do they contact you, Sean?
I can be contacted on Twitter under @RTIS_SA.
Okay.
Or you can find me on Facebook under my name, Sean Burke, SeanBurke. Or you can find Players for Transformation. They've got a page on Facebook as well. You can find them under PFT Movement. There you can also tell us more about what your struggles are, and we will try to address it, and even if it's just giving advice on how to tackle issues. But we have a very, very long road ahead. I actually do not see a way out unless there's a new government in place that will take care of the black child.
Oh, you know, Sean, unfortunately this rings so true for me in my ears because I also went to school at a time when not many children of color could participate in the sport, and then I'm seeing the same numbers today, and that was back in 1991, 92, and it's actually quite saddening. But thank you so much, Sean, for chatting to us. Really informative conversation. I just followed Real Transformation in Sport right now on Twitter, and we will be keeping in touch with you. Thank you so much, Sean.
It's a pleasure. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Super. That is Sean Burke from Real Transformation in Sport, chatting about transformation, quota systems, and what needs to be done, especially with regards to the hockey world.